Well, the simple explanation might be that yesterday's sudden drop in share prices pretty much across the board has created what market analysts like to call a buying opportunity. It tends to bring out investors to pick through the ruins, looking for bargains. Decision by investors that sellers got a little carried away with things, so the buyers have lifted all the major indexes today. The Dow, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500 were all up around 0.5% in early trading today, and that wasn't a big surprise. The sell-off continued somewhat overseas. European markets remain fairly weak, along with many of the Asian markets. But you'll remember that all this started with a big plunge of around 9% on the stock market in Shanghai. Well, Chinese rebounded by around 4%.
Along the way, we have built unashamedly beautiful buildings, 2 of which have won and been runner-up in the prestigious United Nations World Habitat Award. The first time an Australian building has received that international honour. We rely on older concepts of Australian architecture that are heavily influenced by the bush. All residents have private verandas, which allow them to socialise outdoors and also create some defensible space between their bedrooms and public areas. We use a lot of natural or soft materials and build beautiful landscaped gardens. Financial markets swung wildly yesterday in frenzied trading market by further selling of equities and fears about an unravelling of the global carry trade. At the same time, trading in the European credit markets in London was exceptionally heavy, as traders frantically reassessed their appetite for risk-prompting wild swings in the prices of the key derivatives. It was the 3rd day of frenetic activity in the European credit markets, suggesting that equity market swings were prompting a wider repositioning of investors in a host of asset classes.
Abandoned pueblos are scattered throughout the southwestern U.S., and at many, archaeologists have uncovered a curious artifact: the skeletons of scarlet macaws. The bird's bright red feathers are known to have an important status symbol, a signifier of prestige for people throughout the American tropics and the Southwest, both in the ancient world and today. But macaws are a tropical bird whose range never extended north of today's U.S.-Mexico border. So how did the Pueblo people obtain the birds? Crows, she says, are what known as partial migrants. Every year, some members of the population migrate between breeding grounds and their overwintering grounds, like parking lots. But others just stay put. So Townsend and her colleagues wanted to know if that urge to migrate was something individual crows can turn on and off. To find out, they captured 18 crows from overwintering spots in California and New York. They fitted the birds with a little backpack satellite tags and tracked them for several years.
The holiday of Valentine's Day probably derives its origin from the ancient Roman feast of Lupercalia. In the early days of Rome, fierce wolves roamed the woods nearby. The Romans called upon one of their gods, Lupercus, to keep the wolves away. A festival held in honor of Lupercus was celebrated on February 15th. The festival was celebrated as a spring festival. Their calendar was different at that time, with February falling in early springtime. One of the customs of the young people was name drawing. On the eve of the festival of Lupercalia, the names of Roman girls were written on slips of papers and placed into jars. Each young man drew a slip. The girl whose name was chosen was to be his sweetheart for the year. Legend has it that the holiday became Valentine's Day after a priest named Valentine. Valentine was a priest in Rome. At the time, Christianity was a new religion. Each year on the third Monday of January, schools, federal offices, post office, and banks across America close as we celebrate the newest American national holiday. 15 years after Dr. King's death, President Ronald Reagan signed a bill into new law making the third Monday of January a national holiday celebrating the birth of life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but it was a tough time getting the bill passed. First, a bill had to be introduced by a member of the House of Representatives. The Speaker of the House assigned the bill to a committee where the bill was discussed in detail. Meetings were held where supporters and opponents could discuss their positions. The committee then agreed that bill should be sent to a vote. The Rules Committee scheduled a debate on the issue. The House of Representatives then voted on the bill. It passed the House with a vote of 338 to 90. Then it was sent to the Senate. Again, the issue of the King's holiday had to pass through committees and public hearings before a final vote was taken.
For a long time now, it's been a widely accepted and rarely questioned belief that a strong corporate culture goes hand in hand with success. However, a recent study has cast some doubt on this principle. After all, the authors of the report argue for culture. A company's build-up may be strong, but wrong. There is little point in every employee marching to the same tune if they are all marching in the wrong direction. Also, malaria is something that is a very complex disease with this complex life cycle. That means that if you're going to eliminate it, you have to be able to target cute parasites and humans. You have to be able to target parasites in the mosquitoes, that mosquito population. And so that requires a lot of resources. It requires really good planning and a health system across all these different levels. And so I think the political capital that you need for that, the educational infrastructure you need for that, the economic resources you need for that are quite a challenge.
Despite a drumbeat of bad economic news, the stock market is up almost 11% in the last few weeks. Junk bonds, those risky corporate IOUs, are rallying the value of financial shares. Bank loans, tricky credit derivatives, up, up, up. Many on Wall Street, the epicenter of the credit mess, seem to think that the worst is over. For the first time in months, analysts and executives sound upbeat again. Many of them see a broad, sustained recovery in both the economy and financial markets coming in the second half of this year, a prediction some market strategies call hopeful at best. For now, policymakers are echoing the mood on Wall Street. Treasury Secretary Henry M. Paulson, Jr. said in an interview with Blooming Television on Thursday that we are closer to the end of this problem than we are to the beginning. A report from the Bank of England, meantime, concluded that mortgage securities, which have been at the heart of the financial troubles, probably have been fallen too far. The central bank said prices of such securities should improve gradually in the coming months. Financial stocks and the broader market surged on Thursday as the dollar strengthened and oil prices fell for the third in a row.